They thought it was the perfect wedding. Until one moment changed everything. What was meant to be a dream became a lesson no one expected. The veil pressed down softly on her hair, but it felt heavier than stone. To everyone else, it was just lace and tradition, a symbol of purity and love. But to her, standing at the entrance of the church, it felt like a curtain hiding a truth she couldn't yet see. Her chest was tight, her palms damp, and she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The church looked like perfection, sunlight pouring through stained glass, candles flickering in golden holders, flowers arranged in every corner. Guests leaned forward in admiration as the bride appeared. It should have been the happiest walk of her life. But as she took each step down the aisle, her stomach twisted, and her instincts whispered, "This happiness feels borrowed." She looked at the groom waiting at the altar. He was handsome, confident, smiling just enough to charm the crowd. His eyes met hers and softened, but there was something behind them, something unsettled. They weren't the eyes of a man stepping into forever, they were the eyes of someone carrying a secret too heavy to confess. The priest began the ceremony, his voice warm and steady. Words about love, sacrifice, and unity filled the space. Her hands shook slightly, and when the groom held them, he gripped it tightly, almost as if he feared she might slip away. She smiled back, but her heart didn't mirror her lips. Something wasn't right, and then it happened. A sound broke the fragile calm. The best man fumbled with a folder, papers spilling across the marble floor. It was such a small mistake, but the echo carried through the church like thunder. Guests chuckled awkwardly, but the bride's eyes had already fallen to one page that slid toward her feet. She bent down, fingertips brushing the paper, and froze. Her breath caught in her throat. Staring back at her was her own face, young, innocent, no older than 5. A photo she didn't even remember being taken. The words above it made her blood run cold. Missing air, her knees nearly buckled. She clutched the paper like it might vanish. "What is this?" she whispered, voice shaking. The words weren't for anyone in particular, but they cut through the silence like a blade. The groom's parents stiffened, the groom's smile vanished. The air itself seemed to stop moving. She looked at them, eyes wide, searching for answers. But all she saw were expressions too controlled, too careful. The silence stretched, unbearable, until the groom's father finally spoke, his voice low and grave. "Because you are ours," her head spun. The church tilted. Applause from minutes ago was replaced by gasps and murmurs. She wasn't marrying into this family, she was being claimed by it, not as a wife, but as blood, as an heir. The wedding wasn't built on love, it was built on legacy. The groom stepped forward, panic in his voice. "I didn't know, I swear, when I met you, I knew nothing. But when they discovered who you really were, they planned everything." His words stumbled over guilt and desperation, but they couldn't unmask the betrayal. Whispers filled the church, guests raised phones, live streams blinking red. The perfect wedding had turned into a stage for scandal. The bride's private heartbreak was suddenly entertainment for the world. She wanted to scream, but her voice felt trapped in her chest. Finally, the words burst out. "You tricked me. You all tricked me. You made me believe this was about love, but it was about power." Her voice cracked, but the truth rang louder than the choir ever had. The crowd leaned in, waiting for every word. The groom's mother rose, her pearl necklace trembling against her chest. "You don't understand," she pleaded, her voice breaking. "You are the missing daughter of this house. This wealth, it belongs to you. We only wanted to give you what's rightfully yours." But the bride's heart ached with clarity. They hadn't given her anything. They had stolen her choice, her freedom, her truth. They wanted her name, her inheritance, her image standing beside theirs to keep the empire shining. Her eyes burned with tears, but her voice cut sharp. "You married a woman, not an heir. If money was all you cared about, you should have looked at yourselves. Don't disguise greed and call it family." The groom reached out, his hand trembling. His eyes brimmed with real love, or at least, what looked like it. "Please, don't leave me. I love you. I've always loved you. Don't punish me for what they did. Don't let this be the end of us." Her knees nearly buckled. She clutched the paper like it might vanish. "What is this?" she whispered, voice shaking. The words weren't for anyone in particular, but they cut through the silence like a blade. The groom's parents stiffened, the groom's smile vanished. The air itself seemed to stop moving. She stared at him, her heart tearing in two. Part of her wanted to believe him, to remember the laughter, the late-night talks, the warmth of his arms. But another part of her knew, love that hides behind lies is no love at all. Love without truth is just a trap with prettier chains. Then came the mother's voice again, desperate and sharp. "If this truth gets out, it won't just ruin us. Thousands of employees, thousands of families depend on this company. Do you want their blood on your hands?" Her breath hitched. It wasn't just about her anymore. If she exposed them, The empire might fall, taking innocent people down with it. But if she stayed silent, she would betray herself, living a lie until her last breath. The choice was poison either way. She straightened, wiping her tears. I will not be owned. I will not be silenced. This family will change, or it will collapse under its own lies. I will not inherit greed disguised as legacy. The church roared with gasps. The veil slipped from her head, falling slowly to the ground, its lace pooling like a ghost of the wedding that should have been. It was no longer a crown of purity. It was a mask she refused to wear. She turned and walked toward the doors. Each step felt like breaking chains, like choosing freedom over fortune, dignity over deceit. Behind her, voices shouted her name, but she kept moving. Because sometimes, walking away is not weakness, it is the only strength left. The doors opened wide. Sunlight spilled across her face, warm and blinding. For the first time all day, she could breathe. She had walked away from wealth, from lies, even from love, but she had kept the one thing no one could steal: her dignity. And in that moment, dignity was worth more than any crown they could have placed on her head. But just as she stepped outside, a figure blocked her path. An older woman with eyes that mirrored her own. Her voice shook, almost a whisper, yet it carried louder than the bells still echoing behind her. They lied to you. I am your real mother. The doors of the church slammed shut behind her, but the echoes hadn't faded when a voice cut through the chaos. Soft, shaky, yet powerful enough to stop her in her tracks. Wait, don't go. I am your real mother. Her heart stumbled in her chest. She turned slowly, her veil slipping, her breath uneven. A woman stood at the bottom of the steps, her eyes wet with tears, her face pale with desperation. The world around her blurred cameras, guess, whispers, but that voice clung to her like a shadow. At first, she thought it was some cruel mistake. Another scandal seeker feeding the frenzy. But then she saw those eyes, the shape, the warmth, the familiarity. It was like staring at a reflection she never knew existed. Her knees nearly gave out. The woman's lips trembled as she spoke again. They stole you from me. They raised you as theirs, but you are mine. The words were broken, raw, but they carried a truth her body recognized even before her mind did. She clutched the doorframe for balance, her chest burning with questions. Mine, the word echoed in her head. For years, she had lived with a quiet emptiness, a feeling she could never explain. And now, in the middle of the most important day of her life, the answer was standing before her, demanding to be heard. The guests began to stir, their curiosity feeding the storm. Phones raised higher, flashes brighter. The whispers grew louder. Who is she? What does she mean? Could it be true? The bride felt exposed, trapped in a spotlight she never asked for. The woman stepped closer, tears spilling freely now. I searched for you, every day, for years. Birthdays passed with candles you never blew out. Nights filled with prayers that you were safe. And now, here you are, marrying into the very family that destroyed us both. Her throat tightened, words caught between disbelief and desperate need. If you're telling the truth, why now? Why today? Where were you when I needed you most? Her voice cracked, not from anger, but from the ache of years spent longing for answers she never had. The woman's voice quivered, because I didn't know where to find you. They erased me from your life, erased you from mine. But then I saw your face in the wedding announcement, and I knew. I knew you were the daughter I lost. Her chest caved in. Childhood memories she once dismissed as dreams suddenly surfaced, half-heard lullabies, a woman's gentle hand brushing her hair, a laugh that felt like sunlight. Had those fragments belonged to this woman? To the mother who now stood in front of her, pleading for recognition. But before she could speak, another voice tore through the air. The groom's mother, sharp as glass, stormed down the steps, fury in her eyes. Do not listen to her. She abandoned you. She left you to rot. We took you in, we gave you everything. Without us, you would be nothing. Her head spun. To women, two mothers. One claiming sacrifice, the other claiming salvation, both demanding to be believed. And she, caught in the middle, torn between blood and the life she had always known. The crowd pressed closer, their hunger for drama suffocating. She could feel their eyes devouring her pain, their cameras stealing her story. Yet in that storm, her heart whispered the question she was too afraid to voice aloud. Who am I? The woman reached out, her hand trembling. Come with me now, before they silence you again, before they lock you into this cage of lies. You don't know the danger you're in. Her body froze, her mind racing. Leave now, with this stranger who claimed to be her mother, or stay, chained to the family that might have stolen her life. Every choice felt heavy, every path lined with thorns. The groom rushed to her side, desperation etched into his face. Don't go with her, don't believe her lies. I don't care about money or legacy, I only care about you. We can leave all of this behind. Just stay with me. His voice shook, but his eyes begged for trust. Her heart split in two. Love or truth, comfort or chaos. One promised escape, the other demanded courage, and both tore her apart. Then, cutting through the chaos, came a voice that froze her blood. Deep, commanding, impossible to ignore. She cannot choose yet, the man said, stepping from the crowd. Because she is mine, gasps erupted, heads turned, and as she looked at the man dressed in black, tall and cold, his gaze locked on hers with terrifying certainty, she realized something. The wedding wasn't the end of her story. It wasn't even the beginning. It was only the battlefield where her true identity would be fought over blood against blood, love against lies, and truth against power. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because the next chapter might just change everything.